What's up, everybody? So, information came across my desk the other day that my co-host here has not seen Top Gun. If by any chance you are seeing this, my second mother, Michaela Hatfield, this is her favorite movie of all time. She does not watch a lot of movies, but this is her favorite movie of all time. So I've seen Top Gun a lot. I love watching it with her. And yeah, we've got Top Gun Maverick coming out in 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
The 27th.
27th. So we figure get this done here. This is live on my Twitch now when we're recording it, but I'll release it edited and stuff on my YouTube channel the Wednesday before it drops because people will be seeing it Thursday. But anyways, we have a new friend with us. Mike, you want to introduce?
This is my friend Matt Kearns from Take 3 Productions and Matt Loves Movies. And would it be fair to say that Top Gun is one of your favorite movies?
I would guess so.
Possibly.
Yes, just a little.
Just a little. Nice. Awesome.
Yeah, and this is why I wanted to bring you on board, because I think I mentioned on Twitter either a week ago or a couple days ago that I had never seen it. And I got the looks. The looks.
You replied to Manning Franks, who also said he hadn't seen it, which just blows my mind because we have been friends for over a year, longer than that. And it's like this Star Wars and Rocky, I just reference my life. I just like my friends would watch this just to understand what I'm saying half the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, before we get too far into this, and specifically in the last, so we know in the sequel that that you're gonna have to remind me again. Teller is playing
Goose's son. Yeah.
Goose's son. I had that. I had that totally mixed up when that casting and stuff was done. I swore on my soul he was playing Cruise's kid. But anyway, I was sitting here watching this movie and I'm like, man, it'd be really cool if Cruise had a kid in this, like just for the sake of it, just to see those two like have banter like they did. And then I'm watching the end of this movie, and we'll get there. We'll go from the start. But at the end scene in the movie, I saw a glance of Tom Cruise and he looked in a certain direction. And I couldn't get the exact shot that I wanted to share this comparison, but it about broke my mind open that, boy, man, if Resident Evil would have turned out a little bit better and he had some better agents, maybe. Like, there are shots in this movie where they are clones. It is terrifying how close it hits.
I see what you're getting at.
Yeah. But anyway, I had to bring that up before I forgot. But anyways, yeah, so I laugh every time I see this. My co-writer for the fan fiction that I write and a good buddy of mine, Christopher Sigmund, is in the chat, so I'm very appreciative that he's there. Love you, buddy. Anyways. Oh, is it Corey? Oh, it's Corey. Never mind. Oh, that's right. Anyway, it's his brother Corey who's watching. So I love at the beginning of this. This is so, man, this movie bleeds 80s just from the start. And at the start, I just love the title. They're like, man, what are we going to name this movie? Are we going to name it Fighter Weapons School? No, we're going to name it Top Gun. I love how the Navy's name was Fighters Weapons School. That is the most bureaucratic, normal way to go.
It is the Navy.
I know. I forget it every time I watch the movie. I'm like, that's right. The nickname is Top Gun. But yeah, man. Dude, how simple this opening is.
It is a fantastic opening.
It's so good. And it barely does anything. They're literally just looking over the planes. And then
That's all you need.
It's all you need. And it bleeds naturally into Danger Zone right when they're ready to go. I'm like, that's so well done. That is the definition of it doesn't have to be complicated. Sometimes simple can just be correct.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's so stylish. And like, I'm not meaning to brag. I use my TV a lot I spent a lot of money on a good quality TV because I went nowhere and saved a lot of money during COVID. And that LG OLED 4K TV, I watched Top Gun on Netflix. There's a few movies I've seen that looked as beautiful as that thing did on there. Holy crap. And especially during that opening sequence when those oranges are hitting. Whoo! This thing holds up. That cinematography and shots. Holy crap.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, this is a fresh takes. We're going to do most of it. But when I like doing these, I like to have the person who has the most, I want to say, authority on the subject speak the most. So, Matt, go.
What? Just about the whole movie or just the opening scene?
Just like your beginning thoughts going in as we rush through, I want to make sure you get your thoughts, and as we're going along, and we'll all chime in as we go. I just want to make sure you're the most of it because you're the biggest fan out of the three of us. So,
yeah, I adore this movie. I saw it in high school because I'm a huge Tom Cruise fan. I was back then, and I hadn't seen this movie. And I loved it from the first time I saw it. And this has just been one of the movies that it's like a comfort film. I watch it all the time. And this is a movie that and maybe we'll get to this throughout, I consider this to be the greatest, not my favorite, but I think this is the greatest 80s action movie of all time.
Interesting. I'm not sure what I would consider the greatest 80s action movie of all time.
I'd have to think. I'm really on the spot right there, but I'd have to think.
I mean, Die Hard came out in what, 88? So that's got to be in contention.
But the thing is I think a lot of what makes Die Hard great is because of what Tony Scott did with Top Gun.
Fair point. And speaking of Tony Scott, if you're a Michael Bay fan, you should probably study this.
You're
movie.
a Tony Scott fan without knowing it.
Yeah. Yes.
If you're a Michael Bay fan, you are a Tony Scott fan.
Yes, you are.
It's just fact.
It is. It's unavoidable. And man, does it scream it when you look at this. And it's just, like I said, I visit my second parents, as I refer to them as. Well, they basically are. I changed my last name with it. And every time I watch, man, I just forget. There is, and I do like this movie. I will not say I love it, but I do really like this movie. There is a drinking game that is associated with this that is just that is take a shot anytime a line could be taken slightly as homoerotic is mentioned, and I would get my stomach pumped by the time that they get to the beach scene. But man, it's all great. They're just talking through all of it, and he's just like, man, just talking about popping erections, just thinking of all this stuff going on. I'm like, the line reads. It takes a lot to keep a straight face and act like you're in that character's mindset while you're reading these lines.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One of my favorite lines in movie history is in this movie. And it's when Goose is talking to Slider when they're in that bar. Mm-hmm. He's like, that list is long and distinguished. Yeah, so is my Johnson.
It's honestly a great comeback.
Slider has like 5 lines in this whole movie, and it's one of the best ones in the whole film.
There's so many great lines that I'm just thinking about from like all the characters. The plaque for second place is in the woman's room. No, that's Goose with 2 O's.
Yeah.
Now I got the Polaroid and everything.
Yeah, it's great. He's like, Goose, I think she's got that love and feeling. Lost that love and feeling. Oh God, I hate it when she does that. Oh, it's so good. It's just the definition of Manny. Hey, buddy. Manny's a pretty regular person. I love seeing him whenever his name pops up. Yeah. And then just again, mentioning that it's 80s, my second favorite line in this movie is when Maverick and Goose come back in after, I can't remember the exact thing they just did, but they do the flyby.
Oh, yeah. I love the flyby, like every time they do it.
And then like I want to say probably the standing one of the officers that's always in the control tower. It's just lighting up Piper and everybody else in that control room. And then he goes through, crashes through the door, and he hits the coffee. He's like, I want their butts in this office now. Crashing through it. Just screams, I want some butts. And he just walks away. Like, their outright refusal to say the word ass in this film is astronomical. No pun intended. But they go out of their way to never say ass and say butt every time.
This movie was rated PG, right?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
I think so.
Which is funny because this is 86. So this is post Red Dawn. So PG-13 was a rating, but I guess Tony Scott and the studio wanted to reach as many people as possible, so they tried to keep it PG.
Well, it's also, hold on. I need to look this up because I reference this a lot, and I need to make sure that it is what it is. Naked Gun. Is Naked Gun rated PG? No, not Naked Gun. Not Naked Gun. I apologize. I am looking for the wrong film here. Airplane.
Oh, Airplane? I think it could be.
Airplane, God.
The
movie, that
pre-PG, look, the MPAA even today doesn't make any sense, so.
Well, it's like, I have to, I'm taking a hard time finding it, but I believe Airplane is rated PG, and you see bare breasts just boom, front center for a solid 5 seconds in that film. So just like, now that I'm thinking about it, Top Gun being PG doesn't shock me. There's murder, for crying out loud. But again, even back then, if there's no blood, it's fine. It's fine.
True.
About that.
And there's a sex scene, but you see no boobs, so it's fine.
Exactly.
I swear, whoever edited movies in the 80s had to be very careful with what they could show or not show.
Well,
at least for a PG.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, hold on. I watched Top Gun for the first time this year and I liked it. I'm not saying that because I live in San Diego. I mean, you got full frontal female nudity in 16 Candles. That is true.
But 16 Candles was R, I thought. Or
is it?
Was it? No, it's probably not. I'm probably.
Anyway, the
once
80s
again,
was a wild
MPAA
time.
makes no sense.
Yeah, but oh man, the one thing that drives this film, and it was a lot of Cruise's early films. He's very good at picking movies that have just excellent dialogue, like this. And I recently watched A Few Good Men again.
Ooh, that's one of my favorites.
Oh,
That's it. That's one of my favorites as well.
Just
What is 16 Candles rating?
it's the dialogue back and forth between them and the chemistry between characters. Like, you actually believe that they've gone through all this crap together, and this film is just off the charts without trying.
One thing I just immediately latched onto was the deep brotherly bond between Goose and Maverick.
Goose is amazing.
Yep.
I think I like Goose more than I like Maverick, if I'm being honest.
Mother Goose?
Same.
Mother Goose?
Just by hair.
Just by hair. And that mustache. I mean, who are we even kidding? That thing is gorgeous.
And Anthony Edwards, I think it was perfect casting because I think Cruise, he's playing like the young hotshot. That's like he's the Maverick, and I think Goose offsets him so well because I don't know what the age difference is supposed to be between Maverick and Goose, but like he feels like the older brother. Like he feels like he's taken care of. Yeah, I'm not sure. It can't be if they were in flight school together. I mean, obviously, maybe Goose went to flight school later, but I feel like it's not supposed to be like 10 years or something. But it does.
Yeah, I can't imagine. It's weird.
It can't be that big, but it's still it feels big brother, little brother. And there's so many moments, particularly when they get in trouble, and there's that scene where Maverick's like, I guess that flyby was pretty stupid, and he's just like, look, man, I just want to graduate, like. But then they also have the funny moments where at the beginning when they're getting called into Principal Strickland, I know that's just the actor, but I just always think of him as Principal Strickland, and he's just like, do you have that number for that truck driver school, Mav? Let's become truck drivers, I think now.
Yeah, and it's like, and then you get those moments where it flips though, where it's always just kind of like he's always looking to his big bro for advice. He's like, he's making bets with him to pick up chicks, like with the younger brother tempting the big brother. It's like they flip flop, but it is more often than not where he's kind of just like, dude, we got to calm down. And then,
Well, I think with the picking up chicks, I think it's because Goose is married and has a kid, so he didn't get to do that stuff anymore. So he has to live through Maverick in that sense.
That's how I saw it.
True. That is true.
And by the way,
was talking about
Tom
that,
Cruise and Anthony Edwards are the same age.
The same age.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
Huh.
Well, yeah. Then that makes sense. But I mean, you could be more mature than somebody else, even if you're the same age.
Absolutely.
I've learned that a lot from my life. And just talking about that bar scene, picking up chicks, I do love Charlie after the scene in the bathroom between her and Maverick, where she just walks past Goose and she's like, "Your friend was magnificent," and Anthony Edwards just goes, "Nah."
He's got such good delivery.
And his laugh is infectious throughout this movie. It's just so beautiful.
It is. And him singing with his kid in that bar, where like, and he doesn't break at all. You could tell he's 100% committed, and like they could have done that bit for 4 hours and he would have been totally
and
into it.
Talking about 100% committed in that scene, Meg Ryan, like, you can see why they like wrote when Harry Met Sally for her after this movie, because she's just she's in the movie for not even 20 minutes, I think, but she's just
at most like 15.
Yeah, and she's so good. So good. When she walks out, she's just like, "So, Mav, Goose tells me that you fell in love with your instructor," and he's just like, "I told you not to say anything about that."
Yeah. Then her talking with the instructor about
Charlie
taking Maverick off the market. And he's just like, "What?" He's like, "Oh, maybe you're crazy. That boy's off the market. He is head over heels for you." And yeah,
Goose, you big stud, take me to bed or lose me forever. Show me the way home. I will just continue to quote Top Gun throughout this episode.
That's fine. People forget how good Meg Ryan was.
She was awesome.
Because like her career kind of fun intended took a nosedive. But she was top form back then. And like you said, top of that form was Harry Met Sally. Like, I don't know a whole lot of actresses that could have pulled off the "I'll have what she's having" scene and not just broke out laughing. Credit to Billy Crystal for also sitting across from her and not breaking out laughing. But and just a little bit when they're like, spoiler alert, flight school just kind of becomes flight school. It's kind of hard to talk about exact moments because this movie just kind of flows. There's no big moments up until Shocker.
Up until like the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, when Goose passes, which still just
Yeah, there's like the opening. If you're to say all movies are 3-act structure, the first act is the whole like, the opening sequence to where he's gotta get Merlin back onto the aircraft carrier, and then the entire second act is literally like Top Gun right up until, I guess, maybe Maverick decides he's going to quit, and then the third act is when he comes back, and that's a huge portion of the movie to just call your second act.
It is. It's kind of freaky how that flows to where they basically did a like 15%, 70%, 15%.
It's a lot like Speed, actually, because Speed has the opening elevator, and then the middle is everything on the bus, and then the last is the subway. So it's very.
You are right.
Speed's my favorite actor movie, so I guess I immediately default to Speed.
Oh, Speed is good.
The thing about Top Gun I've noticed is, it's mostly like a hangout movie in a flight academy, for like that big chunk, and I think that's why it made such a huge impact. Like, this was made on a $15 million budget, and it grossed like 357.
Well, there's an argument to be made by some people that Top Gun, the entire flight school stuff, it's a sports movie. Like it's dealt very much like that's why there's the locker room stuff. That's why like it's very much like a if you replace this with like football or something, a lot of the same stuff could still sort of fit its way into it. Which I think also leads to the popularity of this movie is because people love sports movies.
True.
They love action movies, they love sports movies, and Tony Scott just sort of went, well, what if we just put them together?
Yeah, and speaking of also top form and people whose careers kind of took a nosedive,
Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer. I don't know if any human has looked as studly as Val Kilmer looks in this movie.
And he plays the pretentious dick so well in this movie. Like the moment after Goose dies, and he just goes up to Maverick, he's just like, I'm very sorry for you. Everybody liked Goose. Like, you're just like, you want to tell him you wished he died. And also, I'm still a firm believer that Goose's death is pretty much Iceman's fault, not Maverick's.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, it's 100%.
If Iceman would have took the shot instead of playing with himself for 45 seconds, trying to get absolute perfection, they wouldn't have had the chance for the updraft and got caught in the jetway, and they would have took the shot and then left.
Exactly.
I agree 100%.
And he's so good. And it's Val Kilmer again. I think it's just you said it was about Tom Cruise, it's about pretty much all the actors, and just charisma is just oozing off screen. I mean, this was I don't think this was a film he did right after Top Secret, but it was right around that time period. This was like pre-Willow, when if you've never seen Willow, watch it if you love Val Kilmer and Top Gun, because Matt Morgan is, again, just the same, except it's a little bit crazier, but he's the dick, but you're like, man, but I kind of like him still. Like, you like everybody in this movie pretty much. Like, I can't think of a character that you hate. Or at least I don't have a character I'm like, oh, I hate this character.
No,
pretty much like them all.
Everybody plays the exact character that they need to, and they're not in scenes any longer than they need to.
Yeah, like Michael Ironside is in the movie the perfect amount of time. He's the perfect, like, I guess, what is he, the like underling to Viper?
I would think he's
I
like
guess yeah. But he's great. He's got the one scene to where Viper's talking to him about Maverick, and he's like, yeah, he's good. The moment when he barges in, he's just like, that was some of the best flying I've ever seen. But you never leave your wingman. And he's great. And Michael Ironside is like one of those great actors who throughout the 80s and 90s, he just randomly pops up and stuff. Like, I always remind people, he's the villain in Free Willy. And he's great.
Oh, yeah.
He is. Yeah, he is.
Everyone forgets. That was his career. It's like he does Top Gun and then he does Total Recall and then Free Willy for some reason. Not as weird as what's his name? Michael Madsen does Reservoir Dogs and then he does Free Willy right after that.
Yeah. That was a bit of a tone switch. Oh man. Now I'm gonna have that.
And Viper too. Viper's another, like, for the older statesman character, like the Obi-Wan-ish character of the movie.
Yes.
He's great. And who doesn't love Viper?
Yes.
He's like that cool teacher that you wanted to have in high school, but maybe weren't lucky enough to get. Like, he's like, I know you're really good, Maverick, but you're kind of an idiot. And then, of course, he breaks a bunch of federal laws by telling Maverick what happened to his dad.
That's one of my
but it's a great scene, and I love that whole scene because you know how, which is something people don't talk about in this movie, because there is a plot that
a rough one, but yes,
rough one, but there is one. The whole thing is part of what makes Maverick like this is the fact that he had this dad who was a fighter pilot and just disappeared, and they don't know what happens, and Maverick believes that something did happen because he's like, my dad was such a great pilot. And then, of course, we find out that his dad died, like, saving people, but it was, I believe the line is, and I'm probably paraphrasing, it's like, but when the skirmish happens over enemy lines, we don't get to call it that.
Yeah, when the skirmish happens over a line on a map, the government doesn't. It was something like the government,
something like that. Yeah.
Which he's not wrong.
Yeah, no, and I mean, talking about another movie from right around the same time, it's pretty much the same thing in Predator, to where it's just like, if you go over this line, whatever happens to you, and we'll just say you got lost somewhere.
God damn it. I can't not think about Predator and just quote Jesse Ventura all day long. I'm a goddamn sexual Tyrannosaurus.
Stick around.
I got time to bleed. That freaking movie. That is like, I wish we got more movies that were just dumb cheesiness like that. Like, one of my favorite movies, or one of my favorite lines in the movie of all time, I want to say it's in Commando, when Arnold's on the plane and he kills that dude who's in the passenger seat.
Don't disturb my friend. He's dead tired.
My friend, he's dead tired. Just like, God, I love it. It's so
And I always
bad.
I love to think about when he's climbing out of the plane. I just love to think that John Matrix is just like, haha, dead tired. She's going to laugh at that one when the plane lands. And then that poor stewardess who's like, oh my God, he killed a guy.
Remember when I said I was going to kill your ass? I lied. But yeah, and like the whole, like, again, it's really hard to talk about movies like this because it's basically, hey, what were the lines you really liked while they were at the academy? But one of my favorite moments, and no one ever talks about it, or you probably talk about it. It's like, I am very much Mike knows this, and anybody that knows me that knows this. I didn't have a great relationship with my father, and I had a father figure that basically turned me around from when I was being a very stupid kid and always backed me up in situations when I needed it, therefore why I changed my last name. And I love anytime you get it doesn't have to be exactly a surrogate father, but just like that dude or girl that steps in. It's like, listen, you need to know this. I'm going to help you out because I know there's a good person in you. There's just a couple of blockages there are going to help you get rid of them. And that's when Viper talks with them at the house. And then when they're at the graduation ceremony and they get their assignments,
another moment.
and he's talking about, he's like, you'll get your Rio when you get in the plane. And if you don't, you call me, I will fly with you. I'm just like,
It's a great moment. And particularly because Iceman at that point has won the Top Gun trophy and everything. I think for Maverick, it's a great, like, consolation prize is the wrong thing, but it's just like, it is in a way. It's just like, okay, you didn't win, but like, we all know you were the best pilot here.
Exactly. He's like, I might not be labeled as number one, but he knows damn well that I am the pilot that I need to be, type of thing. Like,
one of my favorite moments that nobody talks about is a James Tolkien moment right at the end when Maverick says that because when he goes and he kills the not Russians, because they're not, they were the Russians. The
what do you mean that star wasn't?
It was a star.
Yes.
But and he's just like, you'll have your pick of assignment. He's just like, I'm thinking about teaching. He's like, Top Gun, God help us.
He always, every line he delivers in that movie, he's riddled with sweat.
Yes.
Yeah,
he's one of the most famous lines of the movie. Son, your body is writing checks. No, your brain is writing by that.
Your checks your body can't cash. Or your
that's it.
Something like that.
I can't speak tonight. I'm sorry, guys. I do know this film well, and we'd be remiss to not talk about this incredible soundtrack that plays Danger Zone 3 times.
Yes.
They play Danger Zone 3 times. They play Take My Breath Away like a couple times.
Well, that's the love theme for Charlie and Maverick. So if I'm not mistaken, I think they play the like instrumental when he comes to her house the first time, but you don't hear the full song until the sex scene.
Yes.
Which was an insert, one of two reshoot scenes. The other one being the scene in the elevator between the two of them, because Tony Scott, they were looking at the movie and they're like, oh, we haven't pushed the romance enough. So they go and they're like, let's shoot these two scenes. And that's actually, if you look at the elevator, the reason why Charlie's wearing a hat is because she had dyed her hair a different color from blonde. And if you look at Tom Cruise's hair, he doesn't have a crew cut because he was shooting Color Money with Martin Scorsese. So he has that's why his hair's all, he just came out of the shower because they're like, okay, if we wet it up a bit. Yeah. And she's wearing a wig in the sex scene. She's wearing a blonde wig in the sex scene.
That's funny.
Wow.
I did not know that.
Yep.
But
That's
by
why
the
I'm
way,
here.
that must have been the most awkward elevator ride with that guy. Just
Oh
came
yeah,
in.
that's why he got off really fast. He's like, this isn't the floor I want, but I'm feeling way too much or something. I gotta leave.
It's kind of sad that back in '86, they were better at hiding inserted footage than the Fan Four Stick movie was, because you reminded me of the wig. There's a scene in that movie, the beginning of that movie where they show it as a science fiction nightmare of how the Fantastic Four got their powers is a really good idea. The rest of that movie is. But anyway, there's a scene.
It's also the difference of taking a good director like Tony Scott and maybe not such a good director.
But there's that scene where Sue is talking with, I want to say it's Johnny, and they spliced in a scene in there. She goes from talking to him with having her normal hair. It goes to Johnny. They talk, and then it splices back, and she's wearing the obviously blonde wig.
Yeah,
and then it cuts back again, and she's back to her normal hair. Within 15 seconds, she was wearing that wig and not wearing it. And like you just mentioned,
that wig is on par with Ewan McGregor's wig in Phantom Menace of just being very noticeably a wig.
Yes. And like you just mentioned, I had no idea that was different until you said it.
Yeah. That Tony Scott, he, to me, it's a shame he passed away when he did, because I just think this boom of superheroes, I'm just imagining what he could have done with like a Marvel or a DC movie, because this man just knew how to make great engaging blockbusters. You know, he does this, he does Days of Thunder. You know, his last movie is Unstoppable with Chris Pine and Denzel Washington, which if you haven't seen, incredible movie. And this is his first movie, Top Gun.
Yeah. You know who I would have, like,
you know, the little brother of Ridley Scott, who would have known?
Yeah.
You know?
Like, Jon Favreau did a good job, but you know who would have been a really good movie for him would have been Iron Man.
Oh my God.
Probably.
He would have knocked it right out of the park.
Yeah. I think it's a shame, but it's and I think, you know, talking about those inserts and everything, that just shows, you know, sometimes it's also just interesting about filmmaking is sometimes when you're writing a script, you're just like, oh, this is really important, we don't need to focus on it. And then when you're watching the movie, you're like, oh, this romance is big and we do need to focus on it more. It is important, because then we can win an Oscar with a song, possibly.
True. And you know what? I was wrong. You want to know what movie he should have done? Because I'm not the hugest fan of it, and it's not because of the people that are in it or the storyline. It was how it was directed. Man, if Tony Scott would have did Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel and like actually did a little bit more of the flying and action scenes like this.
I gotta be honest, I saw Captain Marvel once and I just kind of forget most of it, barring the Stan Lee cameo.
Oh, it could have been done a lot
better.
Oh,
that, and of course how Nick Fury got his eye.
Oh, how he got his eye scratched out.
Which ruins Winter Soldier for me, at least.
It's fine. It's fine. We just don't talk about that, and Winter Soldier retains to be a good movie.
Talking about other scenes that I love, I mean, the scene when Charlie is introduced as being one of the instructors, and Maverick and Goose both realize, and they're like, oh God. And then they get to talk about how they relayed foreign relations to the not Russians, which is the background of this, which is just a great scene. I got the Polaroid of it and everything, which that's also Val Kilmer, just a great bullshit.
Yes.
And if you were flying above him, how could you see him? Because I was inverted.
I love how he had to explain inverted with his hands.
It is so pointless, but I love it. And there's I think it's ADT sells a t-shirt of that where it says, because I was inverted in the plane, and I'm like, I think I need to buy that shirt.
That's awesome.
I need to buy
I might need to buy that too.
That is fantastic. It's just like, again, with dialogue, you could do so much with just dumb lines. Like, again, it would have just happened like a shirt is like, because I was inverted, but like just adding the hands.
Yeah. I think this is a movie to where if you get different actors, I'm not sure if it's as successful as it was, but I think they just got, and I'm not sure. Have you guys seen the Amazon documentary Val?
I haven't yet, but
It's great, but there's footage of all the cast behind the scenes from Top Gun that Val Kilmer took, and you just see these guys are just like, they're dumb and they're young, and I think that's why a lot of these moments came from that. And just stupid little moments are funny, like when Mav asks out Charlie and she rejects him, but then asks him out, and Slider, has a plane, and he's like, and then it's just, Slider, you stink. And he's just,
Yeah.
like, it's perfect.
It is. And that's the perfect comeback where he's just like, little does he know, I'm going to go to that girl's house. And he's just like,
Yeah.
God.
I think we'd be remiss to not talk about Playing with the Boys. That scene is, look, if you want to sell this movie as a totally, like gay-friendly movie, that is the scene to prove it. I mean, the song that Kenny Loggins does on the soundtrack is literally called Playing with the Boys.
It is.
Which, it's insane, and I was never good at volleyball, but every time I watched this movie and we played volleyball in gym class, I was just, you can imagine me, I was just like quoting Top Gun in my head in my high school gym class. And that's another thing. Kenny Loggins was not the original person to perform Danger Zone. The theme for this movie. When they were doing all the music stuff and musicians were coming in, Kenny Loggins knew that, people were going to want to do songs for big action scenes. Of love song, he was like, I'm going to do a song for the volleyball scene. So he writes Playing with the Boys. And then because of that, I forget the band that they had doing Danger Zone originally fell out, or they didn't like what they're doing. They went to Kenny Loggins. And this was post Footloose, so he was a big name already, but still, yeah.
What was it, Mike?
Toto.
Really? Yeah.
That would have been completely different.
It would have. And going back to that volleyball scene, it blows my mind, and I forget it until I watch it, that it's just, speaking of being in gym class, I was all right at dodgeball because I'm 6'2", and I could just like put my hand over the net and just hit the ball. But I'm trying to imagine playing volleyball in jeans. And I'm like, how?
You can't.
You're
Tom
ripping them
Cruise
things
can.
apart. Yeah, Tom Cruise.
I like to think that the wardrobe was like shorts or something. And Tom was like, no, I'm going to play this in jeans. And they're like,
make up things.
Tom, you can't. And he's like, look at me. I'm going to play this in jeans.
Yes, everyone else is in shorts. I don't care if I look like a loon. I'm wearing it in jeans.
No, is everybody else in shorts? I feel like Slider's in pants.
I think either
because the Slider, that's his end credit scene is when he like flexes on everybody.
Oh,
which that's another. I love the
Slider's wearing jeans or khakis or something.
The end credits of this movie I love, when they're playing "You Lost That Loving Feeling," and it's the whole cast gets their moment, which I think Con Air later did with Sweet Home Alabama. If you watch the ending of Con Air, I'm just like, definitely we're thinking Top Gun when they did this. 100%.
It's hard not to.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see, because like there's rumors that like Tom Cruise paid for people to like get stuff through flight academies and stuff like this for this movie, because there are a few beings on this earth that are like Tom Cruise. He probably had to get convinced that he had to have the cockpit down, like in certain shots, and just like other things. And he's a nutbag, but it's the right kind of nutbag. And like everybody who hasn't seen Doctor Strange now, spoiler alert, that rumor wasn't true.
Unfortunately, you can imagine how upset I was.
I'll tell you though, now I just read an interview with the writer. He did not say that he was planning on it, but there was a moment in his head where he thought that would have been cool, but there was no way there was an availability to make it happen. He was not like, well, I wrote it and it didn't work. He's like, we thought about it and then
Yeah, because I think Tom is still doing Mission Impossible 7 right now, or
Yeah,
something.
Could be.
I think they're like in post production of
John
7.
Campea
And
covered the story. I just hadn't watched the episode. He covered the story about something about Tom Cruise was maybe going to be in the movie. Maybe.
Yeah.
No, he was just talking about the writer
Oh, okay.
It very
considering
well
the
could be.
idea.
Yeah, there was
Okay.
just like it's talking about how different ideas, and then he basically went, "Could we maybe do that?" And then they kind of just went, "We don't know if it'll work." And he's just like, "It's fine. I was just thinking about it."
I was like,
Because
give me
he's
a
like,
second.
"That's who it was going to be, right?" He was
Give me a
basically
second,
asking
because
them.
I love Top Gun, but it's 62 degrees right now, so I gotta take this jacket off.
You're fine. We're about to call her anyways. We're starting to do a lot of segueing here, but yeah, I'm glad we got to talk about this. We're like we did this. We might as well do a spoiler review for Top Gun when it comes out.
I'm down for it.
Yeah, and if you're available, Matt, we could have you back on for that. That'd be fun.
Yeah, I don't know about my availability around that time. I will be seeing the movie. Unfortunately, the end of May is like everything and their grandmother is coming out like on May 27th. And I
know it's kind of crazy.
I had the choice. I was like, okay, because Obi-Wan drops, so does Stranger Things season 4 part 1.
Right.
And Top Gun. And I said, okay, so I'm doing Obi-Wan and Stranger Things on Friday, but then I got the earliest Dolby showing for Top Gun. And by the way, talking about Doctor Strange, I saw it in Dolby, and they showed a full scene from Top Gun.
Lucky.
Oh my god! And I actually last year I saw Top Gun in Dolby. They re-released it, and it was I don't know if you guys ever been to a Dolby theater, but
Sadly, not.
Top Gun will never sound better because it Dolby Theater has moving audio, so you can imagine the fighter sequences. You literally hear the plane going over your head, and I was just like, "Oh my god, I love this so much." It's funny. The only people who got me to the theaters during the lockdown were Sean Connery and Tom Cruise. Those are the only two I saw. I saw Goldfinger when it got re-released, and then Top Gun, and that was it.
Nice. But yeah, I'm just happy to be able to go to movies again, period.
Yeah, same here.
Movies starting to get a little bit normal. I say a little.
A little.
We're in a post normal, honestly.
Yeah.
We're in a new normal.
Crazy.
But thankfully, Tom Cruise is going to usher through it with what is sure to be an Oscar-winning Best Picture film. He's probably going to get his Best Actor Oscar for this movie. I'm betting it now. I make horrible bets when it comes to the Oscars.
I was going to be like, well, we'll circle around back to that one.
See, that was the joke. That was the joke when like COVID really hit and Top Gun Maverick was still coming out. I was like, clearly he's going to win Best Actor because barely anything else is coming out this year. And then they delayed it like 47 times. I have a ticket. I still don't. I'm still getting afraid. I know people have seen it. I'm getting afraid that they're going to delay it again. I have a cup from my theater that says June 20th, June 2020. And I'm just funny. You lying bastard. You didn't come out. I would have known.
But before we recorded, I watched the first trailer that was released 2 years ago, and it's still surreal.
Yeah, it's crazy. And clearly, Mike, you know how much I love this movie. Like, every time it got delayed, it was like a piece of my soul was getting crushed. And I literally said at a point, I was like, obviously I want to see this in theaters, but I'm like, just release it on Paramount Plus already so I can watch it. And I will go to the theater. I literally went and saw Top Gun, a movie I own on Blu-ray when you released in theaters again. But so weird bit of twinning right there.
It happens
between you guys. But yeah, this movie's great. If you're watching this and you haven't seen Top Gun, we like quoted 97% of it. So enjoy the like 10% we didn't quote. But it's such a fun movie. I think that's the thing. Which is funny because the new one's coming out. A lot of people are either watching Top Gun for the first time or never seen it. And I've had to endure film Twitter. Apparently, a lot of people don't like Top Gun because it's stupid and nonsensical. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of the point.
It's a feature, not a bug.
It's so much fun, and you get Tom Cruise. This is really what makes him the actor that we have today. Is this movie and this character, and I mean, you can see it in. He kind of plays this character again in a bunch of things he does post Top Gun.
There
I mean,
are even like some kind of tropes that you notice, like Tom Cruise always has to ride a motorcycle.
Yeah.
I think there's one point he's like running either towards Charlie or running somewhere.
Is it when he's driving when Charlie has called him out in the class and she's chasing him and she like runs through traffic?
Yeah, that's
great
that's
scene.
one of them.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah, it's great, and he's on the motorcycle again. I mean, Mike, if you've never seen, which I would assume you haven't, Days of Thunder, you should watch because it's literally Top Gun with race cars, and that's not hyperbole. Tony Scott directed it, and there are so many characters that are just literally the same, but it's awesome because it's Top Gun with race cars.
That's next on my list. I'm slowly going to. I'm slowly going through all of Tony Scott's filmography because, again,
it's
Michael
a
Bay
fun one
here.
to go through. Like I said, I mean, maybe he wasn't as prolific with movie. You know, he didn't have like an Alien, like his brother, but all his movies are so much fun. You know, I didn't even watch the movie today, and I was still able to hear and quote it and everything. I'm still waiting for the day that I'm somewhere with karaoke and I can do "You Lost That Loving Feeling." Not even sing to a girl, just sing in general. I haven't had the chance to yet, and I will. My sister's wedding's in December. I'm gonna see if the DJ will let me do that.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
I'll
let you know how that goes.
Do it.
That's how it was like.
I'll bring the jacket. I'll do it.
Yeah.
That's how it was with me. One of my favorite movies of all time was Cable Guy, and I finally, in 2019, at a Comic-Con, got to sing karaoke and got Somebody to Love, and I lost my mind.
That movie,
I did the monologue before it and everything. Nailed it. I have a video of it on my Facebook.
So I've never been to medieval times, but I feel like I can't because if I ever did, I'd just be sitting beside going.
I didn't know it was real. I thought it was fake for Cable Guy. And then right before COVID, I got to go to one in freaking Gurney, Illinois, and it was amazing.
Real thing.
It's so good. I gave all the nights free cable. Is it safe? No? That's what the armor's for. All right, we're going to get out of here because we're starting to do a lot of nights. Mike, where can everybody find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Captain K42. You can check out my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. And you can find me in all the various Facebook groups just at my name. You guys can check out Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and Twitter at Ren Pop Culture. You can also find us on Podchaser and the Banana Meter. Listen to all of our podcasts on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. And last but not least, everything can be found at renegadepopculture.com. Need an escape? So do we.
And Matt, I don't have an info thing for you, but tell the people.
That's
where
fine. I never even thought about doing that for StreamYard. You guys can find me at currents_Matthew on Twitter, Matt Movies 611 on YouTube, and also on Take 3 Productions, where I host several different shows. One is a video essay series called Second Look, where I take a look at a movie that I love that a lot of people don't like, and I go through the points of why I think you should rewatch the movie or watch it for the first time. Films I've covered on there are movies like Batman Forever, Dick Tracy, and the entire Star Wars prequel trilogy. My next episode is going to be on Star Trek the Motion Picture. And I guess, given how film Twitter's responded, I guess I have to do an episode on Top Gun at some point. I also host a show called The Fan Podcast, where me and a guest, we hop on, we talk about a single topic for about an hour, maybe 90 minutes, and just kind of get into why we love it. The most recent episode, Mike was actually the guest, and we talked about all things animation. I'm also the co-host of Simple Tricks and Nonsense with Abe Flores, which is, as the name implies, it is insanity, but in the most fun way. The episode we just did was on our favorite directors. Kind of. We talk about that, but then we also get into mentioning celebrities that could get us like content strikes. We mentioned Will Smith and Chris Rock just randomly, and it's a lot of fun. The episode that we're recording actually this upcoming Monday is going to be, this was not my idea, this was Abe's. We're doing a complete breakdown of Armageddon because I love Armageddon as well. So look forward to that. This is a lot of fun. Thanks for bringing me on.
Hey, do you want someone to talk with you about Batman Forever? I'm your guy.
I love that movie.
That was my
If
second.
you can't tell, I'm a
favorite
big
Batman
Kilmer
movie.
fan.
Yes, that
Talk
was my
about Willow.
second favorite Batman
Top
film.
secret.
Until The Batman came out, that was my second favorite Batman film. It is now my third, but I love
okay.
Batman Forever.
What's your first favorite?
The Batman, then Batman Begins, and then Forever.
Okay.
But you can find me everywhere at Organoid Zero. All that. You're on the Twitch channel right now, or this is going to be on the YouTube channel. So either way, you found your way there. And we will see you all next time. Bye.
Peace.